Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a new series on the Talkin'Ball channel called none other than Ranked. So what is Ranked, you may ask? Ranked is essentially where we will be ranking the top 5 players from a certain league, from a certain position, from a certain team, or from a certain era. And in today's first episode, I will be ranking the top 5 midfielders who have ever played for Manchester City during the Pep Guardiola era. So at number 5, I went with Pep Guardiola's first ever signing at Manchester City, and that man goes by the name of Gundogan. What a player. He can play in the 6, he can play in the 8, and he can play in the 10, and he did so at City to a high level. In 2021, he scored their 13 league goals that season and finished as their top scorer in the Premier League whilst playing in that 10 position. What a player. A player who can do that and play in the 8 and play in the 6 is a truly remarkable talent, because you've got to be good in almost every attribute to play those 3 positions, and Gundogan was, along with his relentless work ethic. Not only did he play in so many positions, he also captained them to a treble in his final season and scored many clutch goals along the way, especially in the league. There were some games, I think it was Everton away, where the City was struggling. He scored some clutch goals. I think it was a really good free kick to win them the game. And ultimately, he was key that season. And he wasn't just key that season, he was key in 21-22 when he scored the 2 goals on the final day to win the league. And as a Liverpool fan, that hurts me, but you've got to admire the quality from Gundogan. And yeah, he pretty much got better and better as his time progressed at City. And like I said, he was versatile and clutch. 2 very good attributes to have in a midfield player. At number 4, I've gone with the Portuguese maestro Bernardo Silva. And just like Gundogan, this man is extremely versatile. He can play it out on the right wing, he can play in the 8, he can play in the 10, he can play as a false 9, he can play as a lone number 6, he can play as part of a double pivot, and he can even play left back. How can a man who's not particularly fast nor particularly strong play so many positions to a high level? You want to know why? Just look at his skill set. He is insanely technically gifted in the sense of he can do pretty much anything with a ball at his feet. He's one of the best dribblers in the Premier League. He's one of the best dribblers in the world. Look how he bamboozled Real Madrid and Bayern Munich's defence in the Champions League last season while scoring goals in both games. Camavinga literally said he's the toughest player he's ever faced. That shows you how good Bernardo Silva is. Like I said, he is insanely technically gifted. He can do so much with the ball at his feet, and he also has a relentless work ethic. And the top players nowadays have both, and Bernardo Silva is the prime example of that. His versatility may be seen as a weakness to some, but not to me. If you can play so many different positions to a high level, it shows you how important you are to the team. Yes, some players may be versatile and it may be at a detriment to them, a bit like Mason Mount, how he's so versatile he's never really found his best position or his favoured position. But with Bernardo Silva, that's not the case. He's played so many positions to a high level. When he plays as an 8, he's the best midfielder in the league pretty much. When he plays on the right wing, he's arguably the best right winger in the league. Like Salah and De Bruyne are the 2 candidates to be top spot, but bar that, Bernardo Silva takes 2nd place. That's how good he is, and that's why Bernardo Silva is my number 4. And at number 3, I have gone with Busquets 2.0, and you all know who that is, don't you? That man is called Rodri. Rodri is a phenomenal player. The way he plays alongside Stones, they complement each other so perfectly. Stones may be a bit more progressive than Rodri and moves maybe more further up the pitch. Rodri sits in, receives the ball under pressure, can lay it out to the left, can lay it out to the right. Aerially very good as well, brilliant in the challenge and scored so many clutch goals for City. The man last season scored that brilliant goal on his weak foot against Bayern in the Champions League, followed by the goal in the Champions League final which won them the trophy. That is clutch from your DM. And yes, your DM isn't meant to score goals, but if your DM can score goals and can score a lot of high quality goals like Rodri does, it's always good to have, because when your midfielders, your attacking ones and your forwards aren't on form and aren't scoring, you've got to rely on someone else to get the goals, and that's where Rodri comes into play. He is truly brilliant. Like I said, skill set is absolutely elite, and he is the catalyst in that Man City team. Look, the other week when they played Villa, that was one of the worst performances of Pep Guardiola's tenure, and who wasn't in the midfield? Rodri. Yes, De Bruyne wasn't obviously another notable absentee, but the way City don't function the same way without Rodri, it's just unbelievable. It's almost like they look a shadow of their former selves at times, because I think the way Rodri just allows them to breathe, he allows them to almost play out the back with a bit more ease because they know how confident he is on the ball. He's always the perfect option. And he also allows them to be a bit more attacking minded and a bit more progressive in the final third, because they've got him sitting at the base of the midfield behind to clean up any counter-attacks or any loose balls that end up there. So yeah, he's a truly phenomenal player, and he is my number 3. And at number 2, I have gone with the Spanish legend, David Silva. So Xavi and Iniesta obviously being the 2 best Spanish midfielders over the last 20-30 years and probably of all time. So David Silva's almost been in the shadow of those 2, which is unfortunate because he is a cracking player. And I think we're now starting to realise truly how good he was. Because if you look through the Premier League, there is no player like David Silva. The way he was so technically gifted, receiving the ball on the half turn, the way we had his excellent link-up play with Sane, Sterling, Aguero in 17-18 during that 100-point season for Manchester City. He complemented De Bruyne so perfectly. De Bruyne was more of the creator and the goal scorer. David Silva was just the ultimate link-up play man and was excellent when they used to play low blocks because of those little intricate passes in and around the box that he could play and that he could pull off. And yeah, he's just a true phenomenon. And if you ask a lot of Man City players, well, not if you ask, but if you've seen in interviews, they always say David Silva is the best player they've ever played with. And that shows you how good he is, because a lot of these City players have played with Aguero, they've played with De Bruyne, they've played with players like Vincent Kompany, they've played with loads of top players, and even for their national teams as well. But they always say David Silva was the best, and that shows you how good he was. True phenomenon, and under Pep Guardiola, he was utter quality. Yes, I know he didn't play the last few seasons under Guardiola because he moved to Real Sociedad, but that stint that he had was truly unbelievable, and it was arguably his best stint in a Manchester City shirt. And at number 1, I've gone with the best player to have ever played for Manchester City and one of the best players to have ever played in the Premier League. You can probably guess who it is. It is Kevin De Bruyne, or as Jamie Carragher says, Kevin De Bruyne. And let me tell you, he is a true phenomenon. If David Silva's here, Kevin De Bruyne is here. This guy is just on a whole nother planet. The way he can create from anywhere on the pitch with any part of his foot and any leg he wants is just absolutely unbelievable. Some of the top players I've seen play over the years, they can create so well with their right foot. They can trivela it, they can fizz it along the ground, they can make it go up in the air and dip and land at your feet. That's what Kevin De Bruyne does. But then he can do it with his left foot almost as good as his right, and that's what makes him really, really special. Goals against Real Madrid last season at the Bernabeu. What kind of strike is that? That is just absurd. The way the ball came out to the edge of the box and he just whacked it with the outside of his boot and it fizzed like an arrow into the bottom corner. That is a truly special player. The goal against Arsenal where he drove with the ball and put it in the bottom corner. And that is another underrated attribute of De Bruyne, is the way he can drive and carry the ball. A lot of people think about his skill set in terms of creating chances, scoring goals. Yes, that's his best attributes. But carrying the ball, he's as good as any midfielder in the league. He was just so good. When he's in his stride, he's not rapid, but you just can't stop him. His work rate, his discipline, that's another good attribute of De Bruyne. And his versatility is not too bad neither. Yes, I'm not saying he plays 48 positions because he's so good you just play him in that sort of right half space, that attacking midfield role that he does for City. But I've seen him play false nine before, and you could probably chuck him out wide and he'd do a job because he's that good and he can just create from anywhere on the pitch. So yeah, Kevin De Bruyne is undoubtedly the best midfielder to have played under Pep Guardiola during the Man City era.